Hi guys, today I'm going to be sharing with you my holiday ornament gift tags, and I picked up this Home for the Holidays by Fawn stamp and die set. I bought them at Simon Says Stamp, it's a really good price point for these smaller ones. Also using some intense black ink on Copic friendly paper. I picked up Pretty Pink Posh's ornament die, which I used for all of the ornaments. Also going to be using the mountains out of the Tim Holtz. I've used these before on a bunch of other things. I just like the way the mountains look. I also have some white glitter paper. I stamped out a bunch of the trees, which I will die cut out, and a circle die for the acetate, and also another circle die that I used for the backgrounds. Here's everything all colored and cut out and ready to assemble. This is the die that I used for the background piece, and even though it's going to be covered up by the ornament, it was the one that fit the best behind the ornament pieces. I also used the stamps. I got the holiday one from Lawn Fawn, and I used those, and I also used the one that came in the Home for the Holidays, and I just kind of um, used my stamp stamp platform, and just kind of kept messing with it until it lined up to make the sentiment work. I cut out from the white glitter paper. I also use that same die and cut out white background pieces as well, and then I used the stitched hill die to cut out my snow pieces. For each one of the ornaments, I cut out 2 red outline pieces and then 6 of the craft inner pieces, and that was just to give it enough height to put it together to hold my shaker pieces inside, shaker bits, and let them move around a lot, but not make it so thick that it was too cumbersome. So 6 seemed to be the magic number. And I made a ton of these. So one day I just spent stamping out all of my images on Copic friendly paper, and then I sat down with my markers and the other thing that I did, just to give you an idea of how to figure out your coloring, is I take all of my 6x6 paper pads, and depending on what I'm going to be using for the outside, for the background piece of each one, or even the outside, like this one I used red, just plain red cardstock, but on some of the other ones I actually used paper from different holiday paper packs. So that's where I pick my colors for all of my Copic coloring. So I already kind of know ahead of time, before I sit down with my markers, what colors I'm going to be using and what paper I'm going to be using for each set of ornaments. So that's how I come up with the colors for all of my ornaments. So I just adhered down the mountains and the snow, which, like I said, I basically got 2 snow hills out of each one of my circles that I cut out. I just kind of did one side and then flipped it over and did the other side. And then the pieces in the middle that were left over on the circle that I didn't use, I cut out the ornament toppers. So I didn't waste any of my glitter paper because I love my glitter paper. So I'm just going to set that off to the side to dry for a little bit and then start working on the inner pieces. Wait, no, I'm actually going to put together the other one. I did try to make each one of these ornaments a little bit different because they're going to be a lot of them are going to couples. So I didn't want to give them the exact same ornament. So I would, change it up just a little bit. This one, instead of mountains, has trees inside. The colors of the cars are different. The colors of the packages are a little bit different. Most of them have the sentiments will be different, but you'll see at the end. I made a lot with this bug, this little beetle bug. So yeah, I tried to do them a little bit different for each couple. I also made the beetle bugs for my boys too, because that was the only one with small enough image that has cars. I have another stamp set that has a big old pickup truck with a Christmas tree and presents in the back, but that was a little too big for an ornament. So that's the other thing, is when you're going through and making these, you're going to have to kind of go through all your stamp sets and try to find stuff that is the right size for these ornaments, because you can see size-wise they're not super huge. So like I really wanted to use the honeybee bunny, the hum bunny from my best friend because she's so far away and I never get to see her. So I was going to make her that ornament, but that bunny just took up the entire ornament, so there was no way to use him. But I was able to use some of the other honeybee holiday. So you'll see at the end, I'll point out which ones are honeybee at the end. That did fit pretty well, but my hum bunny wasn't going to work, so you do have to watch that. So now I'm just like basically put all 6 of my craft pieces together and attach them. And now they're sitting off to dry, and I'm going to add my glitter to the inside. And I did use different shaker bits for different ornaments depending on what I was making. Some of them are iridescent, some of them, this one looks like just like plain snow. I used on a couple of them I used actual sequin mixes that kind of went with the packs, so you'll see. Now I'm just going to add my acetate, and I'm using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive here because it dries clear. So if I get any squishing out the sides, you won't see it once it's completely dry. Take off the protective cover that comes on my acetate. I get my acetate at, I got it at Michael's, and it was actually a big old pack of 12 by 12, and it was the Martha Stewart brand. I think they don't carry Martha Stewart anymore because I don't see it there. So the next time I buy it, I'm going to have to order it. I'll probably just order some from Simon Says. So there's the topper on that one, and then we'll go ahead and fill the other one. I always put on my glue first, and then I get shaker bits all over it, so then I get irritated. Put in my glitter. I need to order more glitter too. But I think I'm done with all my ornaments, so I think we're good for now. Just add the other acetate piece and my red topper. So this is a good couple days worth of projects here. So because I made so many of them, one day I just stamped and colored. The next day I spent a lot of time cutting out the ornament pieces because I had to trim off the jolly that goes across the front. The word jolly, if you notice on the, or you can kind of see it in the corner right there, it's attached to the actual ornament, so you have to kind of clip that off. And then the ones that I didn't mangle when I clipped them off, I kept in a cup off to the side, and I'm going to use those on cards and tags, other stuff that I make. So pretty much nothing goes to waste. And I did use one of the word jolly on one of my ornaments that I made, so I didn't totally not use them at all. But I like being able to, that's a nice versatile die here because it's really easy to cut that word off if you don't want it, or leave it on if you do. So now I'm just going to build my little scene on the outside, putting my cars, my trees, and my presents. Anyway, back to the assembly. So day 3 was assembly, so that was putting them all together. This was the first video that I did, was just doing these four ornaments, and then after this is when I went crazy and made, I think the total by the time I was done was 15 ornaments that I did. So yeah, there's quite a few here. But it was really fun doing this. We'll finish up with the last scene. Add my presents. And then it's still, even with 6 inner pieces, it's still a little bit tight on some of the my sparklies got caught on the top, but now you can get them down. If you want it to be a little bit wider, like especially if you're going to be putting sequins in them, you might want to do maybe 8 inner pieces to make it a little bit thicker. I don't like using foam because I just don't like the way it looks. I think I just don't like it, so I don't do it. I would rather spend the extra time cutting out the layers so that it looks nice and it's solid than using the foam. But that's just me. I mean, you could easily cut that ornament die out of fun foam as well and stack a couple layers of fun foam in between and probably be just as good. So now I'm just going to kind of start embellishing the outside of my ornaments. I cut out a bunch of these little hearts, and I'm just going to use them to kind of dress up the outside a little bit. I also cut some twine and the sparkly ribbon for some bows that are going to attach to the top. And I'm also going to use some white Nouveau crystal drops for the snow on this one. The other one, the trees are on the inside, so I couldn't dress up the trees that are on the inside. And then I'm going to use my glossy accents on the windows and some Wink of Stella on like the hearts and presents, just to sparkle it up even more because it needs even more sparklies. And then I have a couple that I've already completed off to the side that are dry. This one I need to put aside so that the windows will dry. And then once they're completely dry, I will add some white highlights to the windows. And that will pretty much be it for the ornaments with the beetle bugs on them. So I'll bring in the ones that are finished. Right now I'm like, oh, maybe I can, and then no, I know better. I will mess up the glossy accents if I tried to attach the bows while the glossy accents is still wet. So this one I hadn't done the Wink of Stella yet, but you can see that I did the white highlights on the windows on just that one. This one still needs the white highlights, and this one still needs the hearts on the outside. And then I'm going to add my bows, and that will pretty much do it for these ornaments. On the ornaments, when you see them at the end, there's I'll point out all of the stamp companies, but there's some really cute stamps that are out for this year that I wish I had been able to pick up. So there's like a ton out there that you can use to make all these different ornaments if you don't like what I'm using, but hopefully it's going to give you some ideas for making your own ornament tags, because I just think these are absolutely adorable. Anyway, here we go. I'll add my white highlights to the glossy accents now that it's dry, and now I'm going to run through all of them. So these are the ones that I made on camera. And see how this one has some iridescent and some beads in it. So, and then there's a lot more. Those are the cars. These are Bow Bunny stamps. And I used the paper, you see the paper in the background, as my color palette. And I pretty much did this for all of them. Here's the honeybee ones that do fit. Aren't they just absolutely adorable? And this one is Mama Elephant. That one is the Pretty Pink Posh. I also picked that up at the same time as I did the ornament. This is Hello Bluebird. They have a super cute set from last year and an even cuter set from this year. This is another Bow Bunny. That one's for my son because he's my little monster. So for hubby, Lawn Fawn. And here's all my cars, and that's going to do it. The only one that's not in there is a flamingo one for my daughter because I didn't want her to see it before Christmas if she watches this video. So anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you real soon again. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.